Today, the federal government announced the Major Federal Projects Office. It's going to be located in Calgary. It's going to be headed up by former energy CEO Dawn Farrell. Not everybody's happy about this, and there are a number of British Columbia First Nations and government or NGOs that have put out a press release protesting. They're not happy, and I'm going to talk to Chief Namox from the try this again, Chief. Wet'suwet'en Hereditary Chief. Have I got that right?
Perfectly. Thank you.
Chief, give me the overview of the argument against the Major Projects Office.
Well, number one, it's created to make us all criminals for standing up for rights title, the very democracy of this country, and it goes against the Constitution of this country, and to criminalize us for protecting clean water, clean air, rights titles, and freedoms. Like, we will not see anything similar to this in the history of Canada. And why on earth would you let a CEO run an office to rubber stamp projects that are going to kill clean water, clean air, add to the pollution of this planet? And it's against our law. Like, we have our own law, LAW, land, air, water. And that is for everybody. And when you have an office such as this created just to enhance the destruction of this planet, I think that everybody, not only Indigenous people, but everybody should speak against it.
It seems like, I've reported on environmental impact assessments before, and it would be a miracle, in my opinion, if they were to advance a project, do all of the paperwork that's required up front, and then there weren't, a lot of questions about, the aspects of the project that needed to be revisited and revised and re-engineered and what have you. And it seems that when you're in a rush, haste makes waste, and that's got to be a concern, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Like when the Prime Minister said that he had a meeting with Indigenous leadership in Canada, and that was in Gatineau, Quebec, I jumped on an airplane and I went there because there was not one hereditary leader invited. I got there, and of course, they allowed me in, but it was not their intent to have a hereditary leader there. And when you have hereditary leadership, the name I carry is thousands of years old. So that's how well you need to look after this planet. If you look after the planet, it will look after you. And because of what they will call financial issues that nobody but them created, why do we all have to suffer?
So you had a gas pipeline, Coastal Link gas pipeline, go through your area. So your communities already have experience with major projects like this. Can give us a sense of how, there was a lot of conflict and a lot of issues around that. Give us a little summary of what that entailed.
Well, I would invite everybody to watch the film Yinta, Yinta. You can find it on Netflix. And that's 10 years of us documenting the violence that came to us. We're hereditary chiefs. Number one, we said we will never be violent. That violence came at us. So if you think about the freedoms that we're used to having, they were gone. Like they created that arm of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. It was called CIRG at the time, Community Industry Resource Group, now called CRU, Critical Response Unit. So now they're making pipelines and minerals all critical so that they have the right to remove your rights, titles, and freedoms and make you a criminal for standing up for clean water, clean air. When we look after things, we look after it for hundreds of years, and we don't do it just for ourselves. We do it for everybody. But you get offices such as this being created to make sure that everybody is afraid to stand up for drinkable water and air to breathe and freedoms. Country such as Canada, who has this great reputation of being so free and so inviting, and yet its very own people are being criminalized. There's something wrong with it when democracy is taken over by the dollar bill and to assist corporations. That is wrong.
When you had the meeting in Gatineau, what was said at the meeting, and what was your impression of it?
Well, Carney and his carnival, that's exactly what it was. It was actually predetermined what the outcome would be. The day before the actual meeting, they changed who was on the agenda and who would be speakers. I went there because they said that there would be leadership from each province speaking. The day of the meeting, it was changed. It was only who they picked and chose to do it. And this was not by happenstance. You don't come up with their agenda just overnight. That was planned all the way through. So it was bait and switch. And to actually sit there and have people so upset that they couldn't speak and say what their people want them to say, it became very clear the upset amount of people that were there only listened to basically a script that we knew was coming. And without having any free, prior, and informed consent, nor their willingness to listen, it was quite upsetting. But the very fact that we knew what people wanted and we were there, I think disturbed them and it shook them. Like, this is democracy in action when you listen to people, not corporations.
Now, speaking of listening to people, they're the UNDRIP and the free, prior, and informed consent. And do you think that during the Coastal Link consultations that it was free, prior, informed consent? And what are you expecting this time?
Well, on the Coastal GasLink conflict, because it was an invasion, that's exactly what it was. The amount of police and then mercenaries coming in and private security, it was terrible. I would not wish that on anybody. But the very fact that they said that UNDRIP to our face, they said was only aspirational, which means why did Canada sign on? Why did British Columbia have DRIPA? If it's only aspirational and they could say, oh, we're going to do what we want, regardless of what United Nations say, that gave us the clear indication of what was coming next, which is exactly what this office is doing. It is removing all the people's voices for simply the dollar bill. And we up here in the Northwest know that this is Wall Street steering it. We know they are changing the law. We know that they are taking away our rights to be free and knowing people.
Now, Chief, under Section 35 of the Constitution, well, you know this far better than I, but it requires consultation, and not it's got to be adequate consultation. We saw that during the TMX lawsuits. So, would your thinking ahead, if there's a project that you don't agree with, would you and your other supporters be taking, challenging an approval in court?
Well, we'll have to. We've always said we'll use every avenue available except violence. We'll never be violent. There are better ways to do it than the way they treated us. But the very fact, if you think about Section 35, which is the Constitution, how could they change that? We've seen it. Our neighbors to the south are going through that currently with their president. And that's exactly what's happening here. If you think about, it was only a month ago, they said elbows up. Well, now they've changed it into a yoga position, elbows up, but downward facing dog. That is not the position we need to be in.
So this will be the final question, Chief. Looking ahead, what are you expecting over the next 6 months? Actually, maybe just in the next few months. Do you have any protests planned? What are you going to be doing?
I think just having our voices heard as well as the rest of the Canadians, and knowing that this isn't the only project. Like, we've also got Prince Rupert gas transmission line that's going through on the Gitxsan territory, and we need to stand with all the nations because we're fighting for the condition of this entire planet. We're not just talking about British Columbia. We're not just talking about Canada. We're talking about the world stage and Canada folding to this. And again, we have many opportunities to speak at United Nations, and we'll be doing that. We need to look at the big picture, the long picture, because as hereditary chiefs, that's what we need to do. The betterment of all. And the betterment of all does not mean destroying this planet, nor does it mean destroying the democracy of this country.
Well, Chief, thank you very much for this.
Thank you for the time, and it's quite an honor and pleasure to speak to you, and hopefully people will listen and speak up.
I have no doubt we'll be talking again. Thank you.